you may mention the name of the speaker as well. Alternately, to ask questions, you may click on the hand icon to raise hand, and during the Q&A session, your name will be announced and you may unmute and ask your question directly. These ground rules will help us in running the webinar smoothly. As you all may be aware, Udyog Manthan is a marathon of 45 webinars with a focus on the 27 champion sectors.
Pooja, you are muted.
Pooja, you are on mute.
Yeah, just
Ma'am, you are again muted.
Yeah. As you all may be aware, Udyog Manthan is a marathon of 45 webinars with a focus on 27 champion sectors. The objective of these Manthan is to identify issues and find solutions for promoting quality, productivity, and their interlinkages in the Indian industry with a view of solving them to promote vocal for local and ultimately Atmanirbhar Bharat. Today's Manthan is on a very important sector, that is accounting and finance services that are the backbone of any economy. The recent movie on Harshad Mehta has brought back the memories of how important is the quality of the accounting and financial services in protecting the interest of the public and the economy. There are innumerable examples, not only in India but globally too, of how the poor quality and standards of accounting or financial services, including auditing, have caused so much of distress and trouble. Our Manthan today, therefore, will focus on quality and productivity dimensions in the accounting and finance services sector. We are fortunate to have with us Shri Manoj Pandey, Joint Secretary from the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Shri Manoj Pandey sir is a law graduate and an MBA. As an IRS officer, he has served in various capacities handling assessment, investigation, searches and surveys. He has been Commissioner of Income Tax, looking after the appellate functions relating to international taxations. Besides, he has been part of Advanced Pricing Agreement team, negotiating transfer pricing agreements with multinational corporations. He has been on deputation on earlier occasion with different ministries and departments of the Government of India, including Department of Expenditure and Ministry of Finance. He has also served as the Additional Director General and Advisor, Competition Commission of India. He has been a part of delegation to a number of international conferences like ICN, BRICS, UNCTAD, and bilateral negotiations with authorities of other countries. He has also been a convener of the working group in Competition Law Review Committee. I request Shri Manoj Pandey ji to set up the context for today's deliberation. Welcome and over to you, Pandey sir.
Am I audible? Thanks, Pooja. Am I audible?
Yes, you are very much audible, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks, Pooja, once again. I do not know whether Sri Atul Kumar Gupta had joined by now or not.
Atulji has not yet joined. He'll join little later because he is moving to some out of Delhi, and he'll join as he reaches to the place.
Okay. So in absentia, Sri Atul Kumar Gupta, Mr. David John, Sri Sunil Talati, my old acquaintance, Sri B.B. Goyal, Sri Siddharth Kohli, Sri Anil Goyal, Ashok Haldia, Vinod Kashyap, and Ms. Shweta Verma. Very good afternoon to all of you. As you would all be aware, Ministry of Corporate Affairs is the administrative ministry for 3 professional bodies in India. Institute of Chartered Accountants, Institute of Cost Accountants, and Institute of Company Secretaries of India. ICI having 3 lakh plus members, cost accountants having 80,000 plus members, and company secretaries having 60,000 plus members. Being joint secretary of the ministry and also the joint secretary looking after the affairs relating to these three professional bodies, I welcome you in this webinar. Now, let me give a perspective and context also for this webinar, which is aimed at deliberations and discussions around the topic promoting quality and productivity in accounting and financial services. Accounting, I set the context and the tone, giving certain pointers for discussions. Accounting and auditing services have a special responsibility. Why they have a special responsibility? Because they are covering wide range of activities like evaluation, reliability, and credibility of financial information. Bookkeeping, financial audits, consultancy services on accounting and finance, they are very important aspects in corporate governance, and companies, chartered accountants have a big role to play. Accounting and financial services has been identified as one of the champion sectors by Government of India, since it has a huge potential for global trade and investment, growth and employment. The demand for expertise in international accounting and auditing standards, strong quality control, and professional personnel is increasing, since it will have serious reputational and potential litigation risks. Worldwide, the demand for specialized professional services is increasing because of expanding international trade activities and changing and evolving global accounting and auditing standards landscape. Now, owing to the large base of talent pool and technology-driven outsourcing capabilities, economies such as India would be expected to cater to the growing global demand of accounting and auditing services, contributing significantly to the sector in the near future. As per estimates, the market size measured by revenue of the global accounting services industry is around $528.7 billion in 2020, and with estimated growth rate of 4.8% this year, and annualized market growth rate of around 3% from 2015 to 2020, which is further anticipated to increase to more than 540 billion in 2020. Indian accounting services market is expected to witness robust growth by 2022 because of several factors such as growing professional workforce, increased FDIs, initiatives of government to boost and attract businesses such as Startup India, Make in India, One Nation, One Tax, Digital India, etc. Now, this growth in demand for auditing and accounting services is also attributed to increasing cross-border mergers and acquisitions. Now, this is expected to not only the increase demand on side of international taxation and transfer pricing services in taxation, but also regulatory requirements for bodies like Competition Commission of India, the Antitrust Body of India, and SEBI, the regulator for the capital market, and various other sectoral regulators like IDA. Now, like in the past few decades, when the IT professionals have brought in substantial amount of export earnings for India, the coming years will be attributable to these financial and accounting services led by CA professionals, who, because of their expertise in various areas, including on IFRS, standards, forensic accounting, fraud detection, valuation, enterprise risk management, etc., has a potential to bring more and more foreign exchange earnings for the country. Indian Chartered Accountancy profession is contributing and has a greater role to play in boosting exports of services from India. And when Indian CA qualification is recognized by leading countries of the world based on mutual recognition agreements, there would be more potential, not only for boosting export of services from India, but also towards exporting quality manpower to the world. Accounting services in India has matured and can be witnessed from large number of DPOs and KPOs. Adoption of IFRS in a short time is a case in point of maturity in this profession and in this market. Now, with convergence on tax principles, the BEPS and international tax pricing issues would assume importance, where Indian Chartered Accountants have been role to play. Subject to the reciprocal arrangements, and as per Section 29 of Indian Chartered Accountants Act, it is believed that in future more steps would be taken by Chartered Accountancy profession to improve upon STRI of OECD with regard to accountancy services, like improving drastically ranks and also opportunities to work with the foreign nationals and foreign nationalities. ICI, being the nodal agency for promotion of accounting and financial services in India, is in continuous dialogues with Ministry of Corporate Affairs, the Administrative Ministry, and Ministry of Commerce and Industry. This is with an aim to enhance the competitiveness of India's accounting and financial services. I am sure Atul Kumar Gupta, President ICI, and Mr. Hansraj will highlight some of the initiatives taken by ICI in promoting this sector and the champion sector scheme last year or so. On the regulatory landscape, let us see what is happening. While the Indian Chartered Accountants are subject to various provisions of Indian Companies Act, ICI is a body for self-regulation, and NAFRA is a regulator for bigger companies, and they are looking into standards, ethics, and code and conduct of the chartered accountants. Now, Ministry has floated a paper earlier seeking to address 5 quote and unquote threats for auditors' independence: self-interest, self-review, advocacy, familiarity, and intimidation. The other topics which are being covered in webinar, apart from what I said, is also the networks. And ICI has issued networking guidelines in past for firms having networks with both domestic and international. I believe that 100 or domestic network firms are at present registered with ICI. And I believe these network guidelines are being reworked subject to the provisions of various acts, regulations, and regulatory regimes. The Act, as I said, under Section 29, also provides framework for mutual recognition agreements with counterparts in other countries for recognition of qualification of professions of each country, under which the 3 professional institutes may have a presence outside India. The 3 acts, the other topic of today's seminar, governing chartered accountants, cost accountants, and company secretaries, also provide enabling framework for multidisciplinary firms. The institutes are to take it forward. So the idea that in today's webinar should focus on all these areas. This is the regulatory landscape where the Chartered Accountants Act, Companies Act, and NAFRA have interfaced. It's a huge network with a global presence of ICI, Chartered Accountants may have a global presence and help India to earn foreign exchange earnings and also to showcase the human resource potential to the world. Ministry of Corporate Affairs is providing all enabling framework to do this, and recently we have enabled with the help of Ministry of Commerce to take certain measures for taking chartered accountancy profession further on the global map. With these words, I think I have set the context for the discussion for this webinar, and I'll request Mr. Chuk to moderate the session, and I'll request that this should be a session where some thoughts should emerge and concrete action plans should be there, that how further steps would be taken and should be taken towards providing an enabling framework to chartered accountants profession and other professionals in the country on that. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir, for setting the context for today's Manthan on accounting and finance services sector. But now, with this, now I invite our moderator for today's session, CA Hansraj Chut. He is a fellow chartered accountant, company secretary, law graduate, and insolvency professional. He is a Central Council member of ICAI and chairman of the Committee for Development of International Trade Services and WTO, convener of International Placement Directorate, and vice chairman of the Committee for Members in Industry and Business, CMI and B of ICAI. He has over 30 years of experience in the professional practice relating to accounting, auditing, taxation, and foreign trade laws, and many more. He is a regular speaker on topics of professional interest on various professional and educational institutions. He is also a member of ASSOCHAM, PhD Chambers of Commerce and Industries, ITAT, and STBA. He is also contributing in the various social and philanthropy activities. Welcome, and over to you, sir. So you are on mute.
Yeah, I take it here. Thank you, Pooja. It's really been a guiding factor whatsoever our own joint secretary in the Ministry of the Corporate Affairs, Manoj Pandeyji, has shared with each one of us. It's really been the statistics or the strength of this profession or the profession of the accounting and the financial services, which he has made us to understand good scope for the growth, whether at the national level or the international level. And today we are fortunate enough, we have the best of the best gem of the personality from our profession of the accounting and the financial services, ranging from our current president Atul Kumar Gupta ji, who will be joining us, our past president also, and so many other. I'll be sharing their little brief about each one of them. But before going for the brief, let us understand there are two segments to this part. One is the regulated portion, which we talk about the auditing or the assurance services. Other portion goes with the unregulated, where we all are open to go to the globe. There is no boundary, and they are open for us and we are open for them. But the regulated is somehow governed some kind of the regulation and the law of the land of their respective countries, and same way for us also. Friends, now I'll be going for the brief of the each and every speaker in one go, and then calling each and speaker on a sequence basis. First, though in absentia, we will be joining with Atul Kumar Gupta ji, who is presently the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. He has served the accounting profession for more than 2 decades He is widely respected for his strong organizational skills and deep insight in the affairs of the profession. He is on the international slot. He is a member on the board of the IFAC, XBRL International, SAFA, and a representing ICI in the IIRC, International Integrated Reporting Council. Though he will be joining little later, I thought let me introduce him first because he is heading such a large institution. So that is why it came to my mind. Let me introduce him first. Now we have with us the joint who is in front of us, CA Sunil Talati ji, who is our past president of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. He was the president in the year 2007 and 8. He is a law graduate, FCA also. He is a post graduation as an MCOM also. During he is into the practice for a very long under the name of the Talati and Talati LLP, having offices at Ahmedabad, Anand, Baroda, Surat, Mumbai, Cochin, and Delhi. Recently, he has been appointed as a independent director of Gujarat State Financial Services Limited of the Gujarat of government of Gujarat. Though there are so many things to share with, but it is a brief which I'll be talking about. We have another gentleman who is a strong knowledge base and served to the government of India, CMA Bharat Bhushan Goyal ji. He is a CMA, joined Indian Cost Account Services in the year 1983 and superannuated in the 2015. 39 years of the large experience in the corporate sectors also and with the government of India also, and so many strengths we talk about. He is a great knowledgeable person. We have another gentleman with a great strength of the knowledge, capability, and the competencies of the organization and management is CA Ashok Haldia ji. He is a chartered accountant, management accountant, company secretary, and the doctorate also, PhD also. His experience includes in industrial finance and the policy, enterprise and the NBFC management, public sector, power sector policy, reform, restructuring, infrastructure financing, accounting standard setting, company law, and the corporate governance. He was the MD and the CEO of the PTC India Financial Services Limited during the tenure of 2015 to 2018, and he is director with the triple IP ICI also as a IPA of the insolvency mechanism. He is on the as a chairman of the governing board of this institution. He is there, and he is at a different forum, different whether it is the SOCHM or other bodies of the government of India and in the different serving communities. We have another gentleman, CA Anil Goyal ji, who is a chartered accountant practicing as a senior partner with AAAG and company, have been engaged in the fundraising, structuring, restructuring, rehabilitation, and he has a valuation professional also, and serving to the professional fraternity and the corporates all across the across India and maybe overseas also. We have another well-equipped person as a David Jones. He is a chartered accountant with over 25 years experience. He is a senior partner with the Walker Chondok and Company. He manages many clients' relationship in India. He has a international experience. Experience includes responsibility for the assurance, including oversight of the operations teams. He has also been the member of the Global Assurance Strategy Group of the Grant Thornton International. In the past, he has also overseen the tax and the risk enterprise practices of the firm. Friends, we do have another best equipped or well knowledgeable structured person with us, Vinod Kashyap ji, who is a FCA, BCom honors, DISA qualified from the ICI itself, co-founder and director of the Next Gen Knowledge Solutions Private Limited, functional consultant on projects of the implementation of the digital tax administration system, e-invoicing system, data analytics. He is more on the technology side and serving at a different forum and guiding to the fraternity members from the different form. We have a two young personality also with us. Siddharth Kohli, very young chartered accountant, company secretary, corporate lawyer, consultant in the World Bank also. He has worked in the past with the IFCI, EY, RBI also. Very good experience, but younger than whatsoever the name I have already shared with each one of you. We have another young and dynamic as a female member only with the in the panelist Shweta Verma ji. She is an MBA and is the founder and the CEO of the Nobility BPM Private Limited. She has the vast experience with the technology companies, and she review operational and financial process and identifying the involvement of the improvement in the possibilities, research on the potential risk identification and the BCP implementation, process re-engineering and digitalization of the system. We all understand with the strength of the knowledge with each one of you and the strength of the acumen which you can guide the others to how can we can improve upon the system, whether it is the quality or whether it is the promotion of this particular area. This financial and the services sector is under the champion sector, has been discussed by our Manoj Pandey, the joint secretary. This has a great strength to improve upon, get into the national, international forum like our IT sector, our information technology sector is being respected all across the globe. Same must be there with this accounting and the financial sectors also. With these words, I'll first request our past president of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, Sunil Talati ji, for his view and taking care of the how we can expand the reach of the accounting and the financial sector to the offshore countries overseas. Though we have the presence overseas, but expansion is the need of the hour in the Atmanirbhar system also and the digitalization system also. Another thing I would like to request him to share with the top three priority to realize this sector to be with the quality and the productivity also. Over to Sunil Talati ji. Talati sahab,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Chu, and good evening to my all dear learned speakers and fellow participants. As very rightly pointed out by Mr. Manoj Pandey, that nowadays the importance of chartered accountants and in turn the services of accounting, auditing, and financial services is really receiving a great importance and attention from world over. And it is indeed time and need of the day that all chartered accountants must focus and see how their experience and knowledge acquired by passing one of the toughest exam of CA is in a position to serve not only the nation but various nations across the world. And for that, along with SCPC and Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, it is very, very relevant to note that everybody is trying hard to see that chartered accountants are grown, tuned, and in turn taught the appropriate importance and made recognition of the services that is required to be exported. Now, what are the most important points for this? How we can increase the export and start exporting our accounting, auditing, and financial services to various nations? There are 5 important points on that. First, competitiveness. We must know that accounting and auditing is a very, very universal subject, and you need not have everywhere debit what comes in and credit what goes out. It's a standard phrases. But important is all chartered accountant must be fully equipped with all accounting and auditing standards. And as Mr. Pandey mentioned, yes, now there are global standards, and our charters in India are well versed with IFRS and other international accounting standards. So knowledge of all accounting aspects and principles, knowledge of accounting and auditing standards, knowledge of software, not only Tally, but be it Cashware, be it in New Zealand, as they say, WHO, and various kinds of other softwares are absolutely necessary for a chartered accountants to be have absolute knowledge over that and experience over that. So please learn various kinds of accounting knowledge and accounting softwares. Second important aspect is the knowledge of English. Not the English that we are listening and speaking, but international English. In USA, they speak different kind of pronunciation and various words and phrases are different. One of the finest example I can share with you is of Philippines. That is country so small, but they have special classes and tutorials to see that Philippines speak absolute American English or Australian English. So that is very necessary. And we should now see that in India, we don't only export our service to USA and UK, but we expand our wings to Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, and many other countries. So for that, proficiency in English is extremely important. Third is timely delivery. Most important point for all Indians with respect to everyone and not disrespect to certain regions. But be it northern region, be it central region, there are they take it time easy. ठीक है, होता है, हो जाएगा. That is just not allowed in providing international services. Absolutely minute to minute timely delivery. Even if you're late by 5 minutes, they don't appreciate and don't recognize and don't respect you. So that's very, very important. There are no excuse. And for that, you need a team. You can't do it on your own. You can't do it one person show. You can't do it just two persons. You have to have a qualified team for that. And therefore, what is required is togetherness. As it was mentioned, yes, be it networking, be it a larger partnership, or be by appointment of various chartered accountants within you. But that must be done. And I really recognize the presence of Honorable President who have recently joined, and I'm sure he will also appreciate how ICI at the helm of affairs are trying to inculcate all these habits and knowledge in the Indian chartered accountants so that they can expand their wings for the global accounting service. Fourth important point is data privacy. Very, very important. You can't say I'm doing the work of Donald Trump, or you can't say I'm doing the work of Zuckerberg. You have to be very confidential. Your staff, your partner, your assistant just cannot share any details. Confidentiality of privacy of your knowledge, privacy of the information, software, servers, your space, entry and exit of entire staff has to be exclusive. You can't do accounting and auditing and taxation practice in one corner and provide international service in another corner. They won't appreciate. It has to be separate, exclusive, where entries and exit are restricted. So this is the importance of confidentiality, and that is the fourth most important point one has to monitor. Otherwise, you can't get international work. And the fifth one, most important, is frequent event that is happening in India and overseas. Participate in the conferences that are being organized by Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and by SCPC, whereby various international participants come. They want to get the work from India, but they are not knowing whom to meet, how to meet, and how to get the work. So please involve yourself, participate, and for that, both SCPC and ICI have recently entered into an MOU, and by that, we are trying to see that yes, we involve maximum chartered accountants into that, and in turn provide these services. So these 5 golden rules are very much required. Coming to next question of Atmanirbhar Bharat, I'll be very short but very focused. Yes, it is a desire of PM, it is desire of our institute, and it is desire of SCPC. So 3 important points for Atmanirbhar Bharat: employment and development skill. Skill development, that is extremely important. It has to be perfect chartered accountant, knowledge of accounting, auditing, and as I mentioned, all international accounting standards. So skill development is one for Atmanirbhar. Second is technological upgradation. You can't continue with your old software and old computers. With the movement of time, you have to have latest software, latest technology. You have to grow to cloud accounting. You have to have artificial intelligence. And then only you can really become a part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat movement. Third is infrastructure. Appropriate place, appropriate space, manpower, reserve stock of manpower. You can't say my man was sick, he was in pandemic, and therefore he couldn't complete the work. No, there are no excuses available. So this is very, very important. And last question, Mr. I just finished in 2 minutes. As you asked, as a vice chairman of SCPC, how do I look at this? Yes, as I said, we are working on it. This being a champion service, SCPC is having only 700 members. We want more chartered accountants to be member of SCPC, start exporting, take the help of ICI and of the SCPC. We will try to see that all those 5 golden points which I mentioned are in turn made available to you so that you are in a position to start the work. But as I mentioned, it has to be a teamwork. You can't do as a proprietor or two partners firm. Third is you need incentives, and SEPC is trying to give maximum incentive. Yes, at presently that SEIS scheme, which is MEIS for merchant exporters, is delayed, but we are trying to see that just roadmap has come for the exporters. Some other new scheme will come. Matter is pending with Finance Ministry, but good incentives are coming from the ministry, and this in turn will certainly give boost for the export of accounting, auditing, and financial services. We have done lot many presentation before the ministry. And lastly, yes, holding every year national conference. Last year we had it at Bangalore. This year we could not do because of the pandemic. But every year in the month of November and December, SCPC is holding the conference. ICI is participating. And I would request all the members that yes, please participate, involve yourself, make yourself available to others. See that others are recognizing your presence in India, your knowledge, your capability, your competence in this field. And if that is done, there will be a golden handshake between the desirable country and your to provide export services. So I wish you all the best. Those who are participating must appreciate the target of the services has been at $900 million. And if that is done by 2022, the dream of our Honorable Prime Minister of 5 trillion economy will certainly be achieved. Thank you so much, Mr. Chu, and all other members.
Thank you, Talati Saab. Such a nice understanding of the way forward and how we can develop this particular sector for the growth of the country and for the growth of our profession. Friends, now we have with us our the President of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. The brief I have already shared with each one of you for the national front and the international front also. Now I'll straightway go to him with the understanding the growth path for this profession of the accounting and the financial services, whether it is regulated portion, auditing sector, or the unregulated accounting, bookkeeping, payroll, tax consultancy, financial management, project management, business consulting, merger acquisition, valuation, and the other venture which falls in the ambit of the accounting and the financial services. Over to Atul Kumar Gupta ji, our President of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. Over to you, Atul ji.
Thank you, Sam.
Atul sir, you are muted, please.
Thank you very much. And very respected Shri Manoj Pandey, the Joint Secretary, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, my Honorable Past President ICI, Shri CS Shri Sunil Talati, our colleagues who are actually the brain behind this entire program, that is the Udyog Manthan, the colleague from the DPIIT, and all the distinguished speakers. At the outset, I convey my sincere thanks and to the organizer for giving me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts. As the topic which speaks about the promoting quality and productivity and vis-a-vis the finance and the accounting services, the Honorable Past President ICAI has rightly mentioned about the initiative and the way forward for that particular sector. Now, friends, as we are aware that when the Honorable Prime Minister sir has given a mandate, I will say a target to the country that let us achieve the 5 trillion economy by 2024 and then maybe the 10 trillion by the 2030. If we see that how this 5 trillion and today where we stands, so if I review that how much is there right now the economy, so that is something that we are at the level of 3 trillion and we have to reach at a level of 5 trillion. And in the 3 trillion, the composition of the 3 trillion is again very, very important, which give us an insight that from where we have to work and what should be our focus area. Now, since the today program is something which is being designed to discuss something on the finance and the accounting services, which is the domain of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So I just wish to dwell upon the few thought process into that particular sector, that how this sector not only can contribute in this 5 trillion target or Atmanirbhar Bharat target, but also can be very can act as a thought leader for the entire professional community. Now, friends, you are all aware that gradually, whether it is India or any other jurisdiction is there, we are moving toward a situation that there will be a delimitation of jurisdictions. Likewise, as we are aware that the businesses has practically break all the geographical boundaries, and today the companies are opening the offices at the global jurisdiction based on the various benefits or the ease which is available at the one or the other jurisdiction. So today you may find a company which is having the manufacturing unit at a particular location, and maybe the sales office at the different country, or maybe the accounts department at the different country, because of the geographical advantages which are available. Likewise, the professions and the accounting and finance sector. Now, in the accounting and financial sector, you will agree with me that the delimitation of jurisdiction, which I used to speak, that the gradually we are moving in an era when the laws and the compliances will have the common preamble across the globe. So again, that will also disregard the jurisdiction in that sense. Earlier days, we were complying with the VAT, we were complying with the sales tax per se, which was having a state jurisdiction or a national jurisdiction. But today, we are complying a law, for example, the GST, which is being named as VAT or the HST in the different country. But the preamble and the definition of the number of things are such are common in such a way that the professionals across can provide the cross-border services. Likewise, the IFRS, which is applicable in the 170 countries, insolvency, risk management, valuation, international taxation. So all are practically are offering not only the challenges but also the opportunity in case we understand the new age jobs and reskill ourselves. The second one, which is again very important, that the business is always looking towards the innovation and the cost optimization to spread their ultimate purpose for which they are being established. Now, when you have the innovation, when you have the, say for example, the financial statement, which were carrying the 90% the tangible assets 20 years back, and today they are having the financial statements which are having the more as compared to tangibles, certainly that required again adoption and the reskilling yourself. And last but not the least is something about that the routine jobs, repetitive jobs are getting outsourced to the system in such a way that the maker-checker concept, which is being introduced by the A and B. So in the school time, we were used to read the A for apple and B for ball and C for cat and D for dog. But today, the A stands for the artificial intelligence and B stands for the blockchain technology. So practically, these two technologies are creating gradually a maker-checker concept, which is again creating a kind of an opportunity and the challenge before the financial and the accounting sector. Now, while we understand that these are the challenges, these are the problem statements, and also an opportunity to leverage ourselves at the global landscape, there are the number of initiatives, I believe, that the Hansraj Chugji or the Sunil Talati ji must have explained and deliberated. So I will not take much of the time, but just to share with you that the ICI, which is set up under the Act of Parliament, with its 72 years glorious journey and understanding the importance of the finance and accounting sector, is already positioned himself that our official presence, which is being recognized by the Ministry of External Affairs, is available in the 43 with the more than 40,000 members who are at the helm of affair at the different organizations. So when I'm looking for a collaboration, I'm looking for a FDI, I'm looking for a bilateral trade between the one or the other country. So practically it is the chartered accountant who is available on the both the sides, which facilitate this kind of a relationship because they are on the decision making process. Whenever you are sending the any other professional, for example, the doctor in a medical line, somebody is going, in the IT line, somebody is going, they are not capturing the decision making position, but it is the only the finance professionals which are gradually taking that kind of a position, and that facilitates the n number of plowing and the synergies are getting developed. The same way, the ICI not only recently approved the launching of the international curriculum, offering the various short-term courses, and even that we established a 2 dedicated office at Dubai and Singapore. But also I'm happy to intimate you that we have entered with the Ministry of Commerce with the 11 specific schemes to see that the export of finance and accounting services see the growth and the boost which is much desired at this particular segment. So I'm happy to intimate you that ICI, under the guidance and the able leadership of Hansraj Chugli, our chairman of that particular committee, are in a close dialogue and looking into that how these schemes which are being entered with the Ministry of Commerce are getting implemented and will bring a lot of laurel to the country vis-a-vis the whether it is something about the more export revenue I'm talking about, the export of CA services or export of financial and the accounting services talking about, but also showcase the ICI, the showcase of the India as a thought leader in the entire gamut. Now, friends, what is important that when we are looking for a quality and the productivity, which I talked about, that why the quality is required, why the productivity is required, because we are gradually moving in an era which will see the delimitation of jurisdiction. All the professionals can provide the similar kind of services as far as the non-assurance services are concerned. So something you require, the enhancement of the quality in the shape of a reskilling yourself to understand the new age jobs. You will be having a challenge of the technology, you will be having the innovation. But at the same time, in case we want to have the next level of export of accounting and financial services, much needed the facilitation is also required. The environment which is required, that to boost the KPOs, the knowledge process outsourcing from India is something that is the need of the hour. And I believe that with the support of the Ministry of External Affairs, Ministry of Commerce, as well as the MCA, the ICI is in dialogue to have that kind of a facilitation being provided through the various embassies and the missions which are available at the global level. And I believe that with that kind of a skill set which is available with the professional colleagues here in India, and vis-a-vis the facilitation which will be provided by the mission and the Ministry of External Affairs, I believe that the days are not far away when the account in India will be the leader at the global level while providing the accounting and financial services hub as far as the exports, as far as the KPOs are concerned. So my best wishes that in case anything we can do through the ICAI to achieve that particular mission, vision, and the very, very important target that let us have this 5 trillion economy, let us have the Atmanirbhar Bharat, and let us act as a thought leader, and specifically in the area of finance and the accounting. So my best wishes and thanks to the DPIIT team for giving me this opportunity. I apologize for being late because I was traveling. I just landed an hour before and I have to travel to reach to the destination. So that's why I skipped my slot by a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Atulji, for such a nice and encouraging words for the participants for getting into the bigger strength, bigger upskilling, and so many ideas which has came from the horse mouth. You being a president and the leader for this particular profession, which has really been second in the world and naturally targeting for the first to achieve with. I'm very grateful and thankful to you. Now, friends, we have a BB Goel Saab who really been kind enough with us. I'll request him to share his words about the cost accounting, though it is an integral part of the accounting and financial services. How do you look at the role of the accounting profession, this cost accounting, more particularly in decision-making process at the corporate level in this competitive environment, and how this profession can bring us to the $5 trillion US dollar? The word the participants would like to have from you. Goel Saab, over to you.
Thank you very much, Chuk Saab. Thanks a lot. First of all, my good evening to all the participants. Shri Manoj Pandey, Joint Secretary from MCA. Atul Gupta ji, the President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Past presidents and all professional colleagues participating today and the other participants. Good evening to all of you. The questions you have raised or the issues which are being flagged today are very, very important. I am sure that the kind of discussions which are in witnessing today, they are going to be very useful. I just listened to the views of both Mr. Sunil Talati and Atul Gupta ji and Manoj Pandey ji also. And I'm sure that it is ending up this discussion in a very fruitful contribution for the profession to achieve the targets of the 5 trillion economy for the economy, or the kind of growth required, or the globalization of the profession required. Now, as far as the cost accounting part is concerned, or the cost and management accounting is concerned, as you rightly said, that this is fundamentally required for the core decision making, business decision making, for core planning or core control and performance evaluation of the entity. So this is virtually required to know what are the reasons of your profit or loss, what are the reasons of your low efficiency or high efficiency and all that. So that the management can reach to a right decision making levels and all that. So fundamentally, if I put it, cost accounting can really turn the tables in strategically improving the organization's efficiency, productivity, and the outcomes, business outcomes. That is where we all understand that the role of real application of the cost management accounting. Now, if you see the today's context, today business models all across the industries and sectors are witnessing lot of changes. Every business is getting almost reinvented, and a lot of, we in the last 1 decade we have seen large number of disruptions, largest being the latest COVID-19 disruption, which has really put the entire world into a trimming situation. Now this is a situation where we must know what are the causes of disruptions. That is one part. The second part is what are the costs of these disruptions, how they are critical for the organizations to understand that, so that they can comfortably take a business decision to restart the process. The third component in today's disruptive world is what kind of financial, non-financial type of information should travel up to the board level. So this is again a very, very important area where the more focused demand which has emerged from the search of global bodies is that the non-financial information is much more important for the real decision-making process of the companies and all that. That is the place where I find that the cost management accounting applications has really taken a prime spot in such a disruptive world to ensure the survival or the continuity or the sustainability of the business entities. Now, if you really ask me that what is the position of a cost accountant in the business world, in one line I would put it in a short, that he is the person who helps the management to improve his efficiency, to improve his productivity, to improve his effectiveness, to not of the company, of a plant, of a department, of a technology, of the process, or product, or machine, or material, or customer, or anything. Today we are implementing the cost performance costing system for the Indian Railways, and we find that how much change is emerging. We have done a few pilot studies for the railways, and we displayed them that how strategic difference it would make for the railway to take the right decisions in their operations and all. That's where it makes a change. He is really functions as a business analyst, and then he compares the performance with the company's best, with the global best, with the industry's best, and then tells the management, gives the real decision making. So this is where we nowadays we don't talk of cost accounting, we talk of value accounting, we talk of resource accounting, we talk of managerial accounting. Cost accounting has changed over the period. It is not limited to the preparation of cost statements or the cost data and all that. Now, in the context of that, when we are talking of the role of this discipline helping the country to reach to a 5 trillion economy level, this is a very, very important issue. Look at the policy makers and professionals. They have to act as accelerators to propel the various engines of the economy so that the economy can reach the 5 trillion economy stage by 2024 and by 10 trillion by 2030. This is what just now both our President Atul Gupta as well as the past President Mr. Talati also mentioned and all that. Now, accounting and finance professionals, especially the cost and management accountants and all that, they are the very vital part of this team. The team of policymakers, team of the professionals and all that. What do? They help in designing, redesigning, or say evaluating and improving the cost competitiveness of the business entity, which ultimately enables them to take fine decisions, fine-tune their strategies, create more value, cutting across the different value chains and create more employment opportunities for the nation. So that is where they act as a multiplier automatically to give a fillip to the economy to reach to a faster growth rate. This is how I find that in the case of when we are talking of the role of professionals in achieving, in helping the country to reach a 5 trillion economy, this focus on the strategies, on the business strategies, it is strengthening what we call is the predictive business models, or we call it as the transformation of the traditional economy to a more vibrant economy. So that transformation requires the real vibrant role of the finance professionals, costing professionals, and all. This is where I find that now the latest is the application of your data analytics, of your blockchain technology, of your artificial intelligence, of your all these IT driven tools, which are very important for all of our professionals to really learn and apply in their practices. Take a small example. Even in this e-commerce, e-commerce has given a totally different look to the business. The kind of deep discounts, the kind of strategies they follow, that normal accounting has been forgotten there. They don't believe in that kind of business. Now, in that context, do we have to learn the real role of data analytics there? We have to really learn the techniques. They are solely running on that kind of thing. Similarly, the segmental reporting, similarly, your transfer pricing operations, your related party transactions, your best utilization of resources, all these are the areas where we need these application of technology in the usage of accounting financial services. So there I feel I have been a very, very strong advocate for all the professionals that today at student level, we must re-engineer our syllabi, our course curriculum, and teach our students, our children at the young age, all these modern technologies, so that by the time they become a qualified chartered accountant, they become a qualified cost accountant, they become a qualified professional, they are very well aware of how do we make the best use of these better services and all. I think that these changes can make a lot of changes. And before I close, one part I would like to say is that the regulatory framework which in India we have put in for these professionals, that requires a little more relook. The kind of independence required for the regulatory of the professionals. So far we have not yet achieved, though we have put up NAFRA, but NAFRA is given mandate, very small mandate it has. And the quality review boards are not independent boards. They are dependent on the respective institutions. So they are of no use. They are not really able to give any kind of recommendations. They are not able to any kind of improvements. So in short, we need a complete
Well,
change in
we are moving out of the time.
change in the competitiveness framework. We must forget this differentiations of calling a chartered accountant, calling a cost accountant. We must forget all that. We must believe more in nation building, in coming together and standing together and walking together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Goel sir, for such a wide perspective of the costing side, value accounting, and it's a business analysis and enhancing the productivity. Friends, now we have Anil Goel ji simply saying, "Man with a great." Before inviting the Anil Goel ji, we have our own Ashok Haldia ji. अशोक हल्दिया जी को मैं पहले बुलाऊंगा, अनिल गोयल जी को उनके बाद में। तो हल्दिया साहब का जो एक्सपीरियंस एज ए प्रोफेशनल accounting professional and the leader at a forum like CEO and the MD of a big corporate, also leading now also into the IBC, triple IP, an institution with a insolvency professional with such a large experience. I would like to request him to, as per your experience, how this profession of the accounting needs to be done so that we really achieve the full of the potential. Any two suggestion for this particular, and same is with the IBC also as a insolvency profession also, how we can go globally. And the third question to you in the same summarized manner, ki this outsourcing, this global outsourcing as a good potential, any suggestion to become like a global outsourcing hub for our profession of the accounting and financial services? Ashok Haldia ji, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chug. It's a great pleasure to be here at this platform. Very specific and to the point amidst this distinguished panel that I have, and I have been interacting with some of them after a few decades. So it's a great pleasure. You have raised three questions, but the first question has two parts as to how the Indian accountants and Indian accounting profession can go beyond India and can extend its reach to different parts of the world. That's a very important question, and that's what the country is aiming at, and we at ICI and as a profession should be aiming at. Firstly, the chartered accountancy profession is largely globalized already. That has not been made to the stakeholders in India in that sense, and maybe externally, that's a different thing. It has 40,000 members out of 3 lakh odd members who are outside India, present in 80 countries. ICI has its offices in 54 cities outside India, in 43 countries. It has MRAs and MOUs with a number of countries. Having said that, there is still a lot of potential for export of accountants and accounting services outside India. And it's primarily because the quality of the qualification that the ICI provides, and secondly, the quality of the commitment, the commitment, the domain expertise that the Indian accountants have. They are large in demands outside India, both in service as well as in practice. Now, as a service, as Mr. Chuk said, that they can go, they can do the job, and they can also render services other than the audit and assurance, but they cannot render the services and audit and assurance. There are two specific suggestions that you ask as to what could be done. One is, when an Indian accountant goes outside India, he has to face number of quantitative and non-quantitative barriers. It's a detailed topic, and require discussions for n number of hours, but they are faced with these constraints. There is a differentiation between the locals and the Indian in terms of the place that, in terms of the position that they get, in terms of the remuneration that they get, in terms of the role that they get. So that's the one thing that's very important, that the government together with the ICI should work with their counterparts outside India to remove those barriers, quantitative as well as quantitative. Second, world over, leaving aside few countries, the accounting profession is not as developed as is in India. in terms of institutions or in terms of the accountant themselves. Now, ICI being such a world-reputed institution, and the Indian accounting profession can play a very large, very significant role. And that role could be introduce global qualifications for skilled accountants, that is at the graduate and the postgraduate level, and also for the professional accountants. And those qualifications should be made available, accessible, and that's possible because of the technological facilitation that we have now to the world at large. And believe me, there are a number of countries, good quality curriculum even at the graduate level. Now, the Indian accounting profession can play a great role. So there are two things to take the accounting profession globally. There are many other suggestions which President Mr. Goyal and Mr. BB Goyal, all they explained. But then I thought these are the two important things that can take place. And thirdly, is that when we are saying we need to go outside India, we need to prepare ourselves mentally, knowledge-wise, culturally to go outside India. That would mean that the Indian qualifications, be it ICI, CMA, or any other qualification, expose the Indian accountants to the global economy, global financial markets, global capital markets, global culture, MNC culture. And when it happens, they would find it very easy to move outside with the facility and support that the ICA and the government might provide to them. So that's the three suggestions that I thought I'll give you. Your another question of an IBC, how the IBC can be globalized, how can India play a greater role in terms of taking the profession of insolvency professional outside India. Remember, IBC is a country specific, and both in terms of regime and also in terms of the practice. But that despite, there is still a huge potential that the Indian insolvency professional, the knowledge and the domain expertise that they have, can be taken outside India. Firstly, there are cross-border insolvency. When an Indian company is under IBC regime and it has an asset outside India, it has to interface with the international jurisdiction. Now, as per the provision of the IBC, the government can enter into government-to-government agreement to facilitate the Indian, the resolution professionals to go outside India and also, carry out that IBC process outside India in respect to the assets outside India. And secondly, as in case of accounting qualification, and more so in case of IBC regime is in very few countries. Many countries still do not have. IBC in India is a new regime. It's evolving fast, and it has been appreciated world over. Now that knowledge, that law, that knowledge, the knowledge and the practice of IBC, India can play a greater role in taking outside India. Now, when India helps the other underdeveloped and developing countries in evolving IBC regime and also in stress assets management solution, knowledge and skills set, then that opens the routes for Indian professionals to go outside India and work in those countries as a management consultant, as a stress assets management professional, or as a resolution professional. So there are two areas that I would say. The third question that you asked about the outsourcing is very important in terms of business process outsourcing, and the accounting and finance is about 50% of the business process outsourcing. But the accounting and finance is a different kind of ball game in terms of outsourcing than rest of the other services, because the value chain, because and also different characteristics of different services that fall within the domain of the outsourcing in the accounts and finance services. There are two words. One is the offshoring and the other is the outsourcing. In both two areas, India plays a very dominant role worldwide. Having said that, we are facing a lot of competition with the countries like Philippines and Indonesia. There is a pressure on the margins. There is a pressure on improving the efficiency. There is a pressure on providing value to the client. When there is a pressure on the client, you need to provide more value to the, to your client. Are the Indian outsourced services, we need to look at how these outsourced firms, particularly the smaller one, leave aside the domain of large technology firm which are also providing the outsourcing in the financial accounting services, how they can be raised, how these small firms can be raised, can be organized, can be provided with a technological and a knowledge platform, marketing platform to go outside India. Why not a small and medium enterprise somewhere in the remote part of America cannot look for an outsourcing to some accounting firm, a small accounting firm in some remote corner of India? That can happen, and that's what is the role of the government, and the other organization, particularly the Quality Council. How to facilitate, how to make them. How does it happen? The technology is changing. There is pressure on the cost. Remember, as I said, there are different layers of values to be provided in the financial accounting services. We do not have, or possibly there is no focus on different layers of the skill set required for providing financial accounting services, unskilled, skilled, and also the professionals. There is a huge attrition percentage in the outsourcing firms. The cost of retaining the manpower is increasing in India. Competitive. Many of the outsourcing firms are not providing state-of-art technology, both in terms of servicing as well as also in terms of cyber security and the data storage and the privacy. They need to raise their level in that sense. And lastly, what is important is that, do we have a curriculum? If I am a chartered accountant, I have become a chartered accountant. Do I know what's a business process outsourcing? If I need to start a BPO or KPO in India, what I need to do? What kind of technology support I require? What kind of manpower I need to have? Where is the market? How can I approach that market? Therefore, there has to be a focus in all the curriculums, considering the potential that the KPOs and the BPO has, as to what is BPO and what is the knowledge set, skill set, and experience set required in order to become KPO. We might be good in English, as Mr. Talaki said, but are we aware of the different languages used in the Europe, different tone and tenor, or the flair of the English used in Europe, Japan, and the America? Are we aware of the cultural mindset in these countries? If we are not, then believe me, there is an increased competition in the outsourcing market, and we would be outplaced in some point of time. So my suggestion is that we need to have a focused emphasis and organized approach for strengthening the outsourcing and huge potential that finance and the accounting services have. There is possibly, from India, we can provide accounting and bookkeeping services, or what we call it retro bookkeeping services, throughout the world. Why any company need to an accountant and bookkeeper? Why that services cannot come to in India? With that, thank you, Mr. Chuk, and it's my pleasure to be here for a few minutes to address before this distinguished panel.
Thank you, sir. Such a wide experienced. You have traveled as a leader, with a great organizational capability in the management capabilities, and the way you have spelled out brought us more understanding of this, how we can move it as a global profession, as a hub for the global, to serve to the globe. Thank you very much. Whether it is IBC or the accounting profession, both the things taken together, I am very grateful and thankful to you. Now over to Anil Goyalji. My question to Goyal Saab is how the introduction of the IBC has helped the growth of the accounting and the financial service sector. Another question which goes to you, how this accounting insolvency professionals can develop its quality and the productivity to really put themselves into the global, though some ideas is being shared by Haldia Saab also. If you have any things to add with that, you can add to it. Over to Goyal Saab. Over to Anilji.
Thank you very much, Chug Saab. Thanks a lot. And first of all, I It's a pleasure to be associated with this marathon program, which is rightly called as Udyog Manthan. And it's because of this Manthan only we will come out with some kind of achievements, and that would be implemented based on the discussions, deliberations. That's what is my belief, and we hope that would be achieved. As Mr. Chug has said, that I should say something about insolvency and bankruptcy, and I would say that I would restrict myself on stressed asset, may it be SURFACE, may it be insolvency, may it be restructuring. So whenever we talk about stressed assets, what is the importance of accounting, and more so when the insolvency law was implemented in the country, what changes it has brought to the accounting and commercial departments of the enterprises. See, first of all, every entrepreneur has actually become alert now. They have started looking into their invoices. They have started looking into their accounting more carefully. And it is not really possible now that you sit on your invoices without even attending to them. The processes like issue of purchase orders, issue of sale orders, and then implementing the terms and conditions, adhering to the terms and conditions has become very, very important. If we are not doing that as an entrepreneur, then there is the possibility of an insolvency attack on your company. What is an insolvency attack? An insolvency attack is that in case you are not honoring your bills within the due date, then there is a possibility of an insolvency attack on your company, and then you would be either paying under stress, or you would probably be taking some kind of excuses which are not accepted in the law. In case you have to say something about the quality and the quality of the product or services, or you have to say something about the price of the products or services, it has to be said before the due date, not after the default. But once the default is committed, once the notice is received, it is not possible to go back and correct your accounting. So the accounting has to be corrected right from the beginning. The documentation has to be correct right from the beginning. So this has actually brought a lot of change in the domestic accounting market. More so, the most of the entrepreneurs are looking forward to have better quality accountants, and they are supposed to keep their accounting completely updated. So it is not possible that the accounting can be deferred now, because you actually have to keep a track on the due dates, you have to keep a track on the defaults, and also in case of any dispute that you have to raise with the vendors or with the customers, that has to be raised well in time. So in case we are not doing that, Mr. Chug also is an insolvency professional, Mr. Haldia also is an insolvency professional, so they probably would agree with me that in case we are not doing that, that means that we are inviting troubles. So that's what is not required. As far as I think Mr. Manoj Pandey has, the honorable respected Manoj Pandey ji has said that the ultimate mantra is to the promote quality and also the productivity. So whenever we talk about quality, because since I have a lot of experience in handling SURFACE and insolvency cases, I would definitely focus on the quality. What quality means to us is the trust on the financial statements, quality of the credibility of the financial statements. So in case these two things are maintained, trust and credibility of the financial statements, which are certified, assured by a qualified chartered accountant on his appointment. So in case that is maintained in our country, the credit market in our country would grow manyfold. So the most of the financial statements that we undergo, we see when a company goes into stress, maybe under insolvency or SURFACE or even restructuring, and the most of the time we see that the financial statements on which the banks and financial institutions had trusted while providing the financial services are in fact defaulting. So this is where we need to improve our quality. So that actually is very, very important. And then we come to the productivity. what I'm trying to say is that the productivity is nowadays, it is the technology. We have to use technology, and we have to focus on training. In case our technology and training both are adhered to, that actually can improve our uh, the quality part of it. Chuksab, in case we try to understand this forensic audit and transaction audit, whatever we call, the transaction audit is the name that we give under the insolvency law, where we use section 43, 45, 50, or 66, basically undervalued transaction, preferential transaction, extortionate credit transactions, and fraudulent transactions. So these transactions, uh, when we get it audited from a transactional auditor or from a forensic auditor, we also need that they should be regulated. So presently, you being the central council member, and maybe that the president of the ICAI is also available. So we feel that the forensic auditors and the transactions auditor also should be regulated. Their certificate, they also should be questionable, and somebody should monitor their activities, and somebody should monitor their reports, and there should be some standards. There should be some standards, some kind of auditing standards for forensic audit or for transaction audit. This is the need of the hour now, because the India presently is facing too much of stressed assets. So because of these too much of stressed assets, the need of the hour is to have standards for forensic auditors or transactional auditors. So to all my colleagues, speakers, I would say that, like, in case we need to compete with the international brands, then we also need to showcase to the end customer that yes, we have the capability and infrastructure. So in case any Indian company can create an infrastructure and has capabilities, I think that particular entity should be given an opportunity to promote and to solicit work. That is also restricted in country. How do I showcase that I have created an infrastructure? How do I showcase that I have created a complete forensic experts and I have completely set up a forensic audit lab in my office? How do I do that? So once we say that the international companies are spending a lot of money on marketing, that the domestic companies are not able to do that. So I would suggest that some platform may be created where the domestic companies also, they can also do their marketing. They should also spread their capability. They should also spread around the infrastructure that they have created. So this is very important when we say that we have to compete internationally, we have to promote our quality, and we have to increase our efficiency and productivity. This is very, very important, that we should encourage creating of infrastructure within the domestic companies, so that these domestic companies should go international and they should actually compete with the international brands. Chuksab, your question, which is on the a little bit of only two more minutes, I am sure. The See, there are many things that we can actually do in the international market as far as the insolvency law is concerned. Although this is a regulated and licensed profession, I'm not sure, although Mr. Haldia has touched this point, that there would be cross-border insolvency and there would be government-to-government agreements. We are looking forward to those developments. The moment wo those developments will come, of course, some new areas will open for the Indian insolvency professionals also. But since being a regulated and licensed profession, working as an insolvency professional in an outside jurisdiction probably is not immediately possible. However, there are many things which are possible, since now India has started understanding insolvency law. India has trained human resources. India has technology. Now India can definitely do outsourcing of like claim verification, like communication, like preparation of various lists, and more so in case Indian companies are regulated, then most of the forensic audits and the transaction audits are definitely which actually can come to India, because Indian human resources are one, that they understand the financial concept, two, that they also understand the technology, Three, that they also understand English, so they can attend to, with a little bit of understanding of the law in the foreign jurisdiction, they can find out transactions, they can do forensic audit, and they can do transaction audit, and that particular profession can definitely achieve a kind of international platform for the domestic insolvency professionals. I think Chuksab,
Yeah.
I know the time is short, so thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Goel sir, for the insights and the experience you have traveled so far. In a very few minutes, you have shared so many good things. Friends, now we have with us David Jones G. Question to him: being an accountant, financial services as one of the champion sector, like we have a 12 champion sector, and we are one amongst them at the fourth number. How this sector can develop its position at a global level, as being in the case of the IT, like information technology, we have really been, as our goodwill is being created across the globe, best amongst them. And the another question is like the challenges in this sector within India and the overseas also. Over to David G. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Am I audible to everybody? Am I clearly audible? I was having some trouble earlier,
Yeah,
so
you are very much
just want
clear,
to be
sir.
clear.
Yes,
Thank you, friend. Right. So, thanks for the question, and great to be on this forum. I think it's a great forum to share views. And just looking at the questions, some of the colleagues who came earlier touched upon these aspects, but I have some specific points I thought I would share, with the group. So I think, actually this question in today's day and age and with the pandemic, and I know it's not a, situation to be looked at positively, but there are some silver linings, I think, to that cloud, which is, and I'll borrow from the words of, Uday Kotakji, who basically said that in today's day, geography is history. So really political boundaries, etc., really don't exist when it comes to the business world, anymore. And I think the realization of that, obviously has got accelerated very significantly with this whole pandemic situation and people working from, wherever they are. But having said that, for the profession to really capitalize, I think effectively on that opportunity, I think there are a couple of initiatives that need to take place, and I look at this at a couple, various levels at which this needs to happen. I think first, if you start with the policy level, I heard earlier people refer to the efforts of the institute to sort of build the global brand image, as well as relations with various countries and regulators of the profession and others. And I think that's great. It is quite different to the situation when possibly I qualified as a chartered accountant. But at the same time, I also think that there is an opportunity to accelerate that, and the pace of that. And I look at it as a simple anomaly to say that unless we make our country a level playing field, it is very difficult for us to expect others to sort of welcome us into their jurisdiction. It's as simple as, if you want to go to somebody's house, you should be willing to let them into yours, as well. And I think that's an area where there is a lot of discussion, debate, at various levels. But I think personally, in the longer term, it will only help us as a profession and our individuals shine brighter on the global platform. If you look at it, you asked me about in relation to IT. And when I look at large tech companies today, they are globally led by people of Indian origin, Google, Microsoft, IBM. But that hasn't happened overnight. That has taken time, that has taken effort, that has taken trust, and has aided when basically there were no boundaries on either business or talent mobility. So that's something that I believe from a policy level, definitely needs to be looked at. Anil Goyalji talked about the ability to actually, talk about what you have done. He used the word marketing. I'll just, I mean, I think it's very similar. If somebody has built something or achieved it, or has the capability, without being able to broadcast it, it is very difficult to expect it to get you business. So that's on the policy level. If I take it down one notch and move into the operating level, I think for us to be on the global platform, two things really: the ability to invest in technology and training of talent. And I'll address these two slightly separately. Technology. We have a couple of people on the panel, I think, and they're coming afterwards. I'm very keen to hear what they have to say. But being part of a firm, I can safely say that today we are a professional service firm who use technology to provide professional services. I think in the next 7 to 10 years, we will essentially morph into a technology firm who also provide professional services. Because that's the way our clients are going. That's the way business is moving. If we do not keep pace with with what their growth is, and their transformation, as professionals, we will actually become irrelevant. On the talent and training side, and this is a suggestion or a solution that I think may be slightly radical, but I see the CA course where the inlet to try to become a chartered accountant is quite wide. You have a minimum expectation on sort of certain marks and percentage, and then you give the exams. Whereas the outlet, of course, is extremely tough. My thinking around this is to possibly at some point to look to on a journey to reverse this, where we actually make the inlet more challenging, and ensure that that when we have people come into this course, they actually qualify and we have higher rates that get out. So you're actually looking at making those thresholds of what will be a successful CA at the outset itself, rather than having people spend time and becoming frustrated with the profession. And the third area I think is the cultural piece, where I believe we have some journey to do. People talked about understanding cultures, what it means here and there. I think there is one very basic image of the Indian accountant that also needs to be addressed. And I'll give you a simple example of what I'm saying. There are a lot of countries where the Indian CA qualification has reciprocal recognition. So you need to give a couple of papers, and you can actually be labeled a CA or a certified accountant in that country. But I've noted in most of these that the ethics paper is always a mandatory take for the Indian CA. And one would think that ethics is the same across the world. If why is it that we are being asked that if we are going to a different country? I can understand if they want to take a tax paper or an accounting paper because they have nuances in their geography. But having to take an ethics paper, sort of makes me think about the image that the Indian CA currently carries. So I think there is some image building that needs to happen. While economics will help us win the minds, of people, the hearts will be won only if we also have the right image for people to actually outsource work. And lastly, I'll talk about at the individual level, and I think it also comes to your personal initiative, how proactive you are, and there are people who are doing this quite successfully already. They've built a good proposition, a great model. They've taken the initiative, gone to other countries, talked about how they can help build trust over a period of time. But I think the scale and the opportunity is immense, and we should see how we can encourage more people to take that step. I think Hansaji, your second question, if I may just quickly come to that around the key challenges faced in India and globally. To be honest, I think at this point of time, and with all the strings of corporate failures, where at some point they have also looked at auditors to say that you should have known this or you should have called this out. So there is a bit of crisis of confidence in what the whole audit product is even today. I would even go one step further to say that there's an expectation gap between what the stakeholders expect from an audit today, and what auditors are trained and happy to do. And some simple examples like identifying fraud, or talking about going concern or forecasted or future statements, where we have sort of, I think we have guidelines around it, and our standards require us to do things, but the expectation from stakeholders is gone to a very different level today. So it's up to us to really step up and see how we can morph in order to either manage or meet those expectations. Because if we don't do either of those two, again, I see the profession facing a question of relevancy, and there'll be others who will step in to take that role from us. There's also challenges around, keeping abreast with clients, and I touched upon this a little earlier. I think technology is racing at a pace where it's very difficult to keep, if you're an individual, to stay afloat. So I think, as much as we can learn, share, collaborate on that front, tie up, partner with organizations would be better. It'll keep us relevant, help us manage the technology, and, also the complexity. And last, I would just, come back to the talent piece. I think that's the key differentiator in our business. Attracting and retaining talent is becoming an increasing challenge in the profession. There are so many more avenues that sound much better, sort of feel much better, and we are losing talent to some of them. So I think that's a big challenge that I face, only not in India, but even globally. I think I'll sort of end there, and Rajvi, those are my points to the question that you asked.
No,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hansraj sir, you are on mute right now.
I really appreciate the way you have spelled out, the way you have elaborated, whether it is the collaborative approach, whether it is the talent retention power, or the challenges, the expectation gap, or the crisis in the whole of the system as far as the audit parts is concerned. So many good things you have shared with each one of us. I'm with the participants also. Now we have another best of the brain technology to understand with, quality of the audit to understand with. Vinod Kashyapji with us. The question goes to him. What, according to furtherance required for the better audit quality in the present era, and how the reporting can be improved in order to match the global financial standards? The another question is related with the quality standards only. Are there any recommendation for improving quality standards of the financial reporting? Please share the latest whatever is there which you have with your experience. You can share with the participants and with us. Over to Vinod Kashyapji.
Thank you, CA Hansraj Chugji. Sir, that's a $1 million question. It's difficult to measure quality of audit. There are several factors that determine quality of audit. Globally, there has been a lot of discussions going on audit quality. Accounting overseas body like PCOAB, FRC, and accounting bodies all over the world have been continuously working on improving the audit quality. While we are discussing about the audit qualities, we don't have audit quality indicators as on date. PCOAB has released a concept paper on audit quality indicators way back in 2015. This is an area that requires attention of regulators of accounting profession in India. I don't wish to elaborate more on this. As per McKinsey's report of 2016, we are living in a data-driven world where data analytics is dominating most of the financial and business decisions. In a data-driven world where data assumes so much importance, we need to have data integrity assurance also. This is also a potential new area of practice for accounting professionals. We are in the midst of fourth industrial revolution where emerging technologies are disrupting most of the business and practices. Accounting profession is not an exception to that. These technologies include artificial intelligence, robotic process automation, audit data analytics in your auditing. Our current auditing standards, SF500 audit evidence, which was issued over a decade ago, doesn't recognize the use of emerging technologies in collection of audit evidence. AICPA has recognized the need of revising this auditing standard, and they released the exposure draft in 2019. The said auditing standard stands revised now. As per survey on state of audit conducted by SOCM, adoption of emerging technologies among accounting professionals is not at all encouraging. I can share some of the survey results for the information of participants here. Less than 5% auditors are using EWPs to keep their audit files. Over 60% auditors rely upon spreadsheets for audit data analytics. Accounting bodies around the world have been taking initiatives to educate their members on this. NFRA also needs to tighten its belts and ensure independent standard setting in India like PCOB and FRC. The topic of audit quality is very wide and there are many areas that require improvement. And it is not possible to cover all of them in the time allocated to me in this webinar. I'll therefore try to discuss on two areas of auditing which require attention, and following international best practices can help in bringing improvement in those two areas. First is audit data standards, second is audit of XBRL. Third, Donald Bryden CB has made as many as 64 recommendations for improving the audit quality in UK in his 138 pages report, Assess, Assure and Inform, Improving Audit Quality and Effectiveness. The report was released in December 2019 and calls for urgent reforms in accounting profession in UK. One of the recommendations contained in his report is on audit data standards. While this report was being published, British Standard Institution, which is known as BSI, was working on adoption of audit data collection standards in UK. UK has already adopted international standards on audit data collection. Now, the development of international standards on audit data collection has been joint effort of 35 countries from 2015 to 2019. The initiative of China, because China had these standards before they took initiative in 2015 at ISO level. This is known as China Golden Audit Report. Unfortunately, India was not part of the standard development process. Lack of standardization of audit data has been identified as biggest obstacle in digital transformation of auditing. In the absence of standards, the auditors spend a lot of time in just collecting the information needed for the purpose of their audit. Management also spend considerable time in extracting the data from accounting system which auditors need for the purpose of their audit. And there is no guarantee of data integrity. Since data is not interoperable, digital continuity is also lost. Now, new international standards for audit data collection aims to improve audit data collection process, which will result in saving valuable time of auditors that they are spending today in collection of information they need for the purpose of their audit. Management, it will also help in reducing management costs because management will not have to waste time in just collection of data which auditors need for their purpose. This will also ensure digital continuity. Audit data standards also facilitate audit data analytics that can bring digital transformation of auditing. Bureau of Indian Standards deserves all accolades for their efforts in adoption of audit data collection standards in India and ensuring that India participates in the development process of new standards at ISO level. MCA has mandated submission of financial statements of large companies in XBRL format from 2010-11 onwards. There are about 28,000 companies that are submitting their XBRL tagged financial information in XBRL format. Since then, these XBRL financial statements need to be certified by accounting professionals, which include members of ICI, ICSI, and ICWI in e-forms that are used for submission of these XBRL financial data to MCA. Since the engagement of auditor in XBRL filing has not been treated as audit, only certification of e-form is being done by the accounting professionals. This has resulted in adverse quality of XBRL tagged data at MCA. And due to the quality issue of XBRL tagged data, it is not being used by the investors for investment analysis purpose. As per media reports, even MCA has not used this data for early detection of fraud and in analysis purpose. The whole purpose of XBRL gets defeated if the data is not used for analytics purpose. Committee of European Audit Oversight Body, which is known as CEOB, has described the engagement of auditor in European Single Electronic Format, which is XHTML format, as audit, and has also published guidance in this regard. Accounting bodies all over European Union are coming out with auditing standards guidance on ESEF audit.
For example, IDW Germany has published draft IDW auditing standards audit of the electronic rendering of financial statements. While Netherlands Institute of Chartered Accountants has also published a guide on the technical audit of an ESEF financial report. I am honored to be the part of an international group that is reviewing these draft auditing standards and guidance issued by accounting bodies in European Union. To conclude my talk, I'll recommend international standards on audit data collection should be adopted in India, and involvement of auditor in XBRL filing at MCA should be treated as audit in line with the global best practices. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinodji, for really been making us to understand and making our participants, though the subject is quite lengthy, but the time within which you can share the methodology we have to understand, the way we have to work on, that is really very quite encouraging. Now, friends, we have two young professionals with us, Siddharth ji and Sweta ji. Now, first I'll request Siddharth ji, because he is more inclined towards the startups and their accounting needs. I'll request him to share quality approach, whatsoever is been required to in the starting points in the startup category, and share his own with his own experience. Siddharth, over to you.
Hi, Ansraji. Thank you so much for the questions that you've posed, and I'm actually overwhelmed with such an august gathering that is here. But as a young professional, I would just want to quickly go on to answering the questions that you've posed. As working with startups, the one thing that we associate with startups is speed, and we go on to startups, and the thing that we realize is that you often hear terms like go big or go home, things like fail fast, do it fast, and there is a constant pressure to ramp up the numbers, right? There is a pressure to deliver on top line, and in some cases even the top line is now no longer top line. It is DAO Mao, and in saying DAO Mao, you've got the daily active users and the monthly active users. So these are terms that you hear daily. In such a scenario, for a startup founder, how do you really focus on an accounting and a finance function, which is basically looked at merely as a support function, as they call it? Well, I would actually like to call it as an entrepreneurial finance support function, for that matter. But in doing so, what we've realized over the years is also the fact that the accounting and finance function is the one where mostly startups fail at organizing themselves, and that sometimes causes the doom of a startup organization. Well, I was going through the European Journal for SMEs. There's a study as back as 2014 which says that 82% of small and medium enterprises ultimately experience cash flow issues, startups included, of course. And to tackle that, what probably the aspects of quality, or to develop a good quality accounting and finance system, I would probably suggest a three-pronged approach. And the first of which should be accounting to be organized in the form of a management information system. And by that, I mean that an entrepreneur should be able to, or a startup founder, a CEO should be able to utilize the accounting and finance function for decision making, and things like a revenue-based center, a cost-based center accounting, things like that can be built into the accounting system, which is very much possible. The second prong of the three-prong approach should be that an accounting and finance system should be highly resilient. And by resilient, I mean that it should be able to support a business continuity in times like such that we've experienced in the last 11 months or so. This has been the pandemic year, and I have seen in my experience that accounting and finance systems, where accounting and finance systems were actually resilient, there people were able to tide over. And by that, there are actually two more aspects of it. One is that the accounting and finance system, which actually forms the base of compliance, and we right now in India, of course, we live in a country where there is multitude of compliance. An accounting and finance system needs to be highly robust on compliance. It should be able to talk to a lot of regulators so that we are compliant. The next prong approach for a resilient accounting system has to be that it should be able to prevent fraud. And by that, I mean there are tools in the market right now where you can add reconciliation to your automated reconciliations to your accounting and finance needs. We saw some of the there were reports of some food delivery startups who used to ramp up sales and things like that. So those were things that were reported. With the benefit of a good and a robust, resilient accounting and finance practice, we should be able to avoid such kind of incidents. And the third factor is that the accounting and finance system should be able to, on its own, act like a decision support mechanism for a startup. There is a whole lot of data tools that can be used. For example, what is being spent on marketing? What is it that I'm generating out of it? What was my top line, say 12 months back, same time this year, right? What did I spend on business development? What is my sales cost? What percentage of my total top line should be my sales cost? So things like these can be easily automated into the system through the use of good technology tools, which also brings me to the next question that you've posed me on artificial intelligence, on the use of accounting and finance function. Now, I remember, and I'll probably be going back to what David just mentioned, the fact that technology is, and he mentioned that probably in times to come, there'll be a firm which is being morphed into a technology firm providing professional services. I think I second that wholeheartedly, because that is the way we need to adopt things. I remember what Albert Einstein said, that don't listen to the person who has the answers, listen to the person who asks the maximum questions. And we as accounting and finance professionals probably ask the maximum number of questions that we can ask. So to solve for them, there are tools in the market right now. I had the good fortune of visiting Germany in 2019. I stayed there for 2 months, visited a whole lot of accounting and accountants and firms like us. We saw that people there work with 1/4 of the capacity, even less, but are delivering 5 times the amount of work that we are delivering here. And I was amazed to see the kind of stuff and the kind of tools that those people are using in delivering the accounting and finance function. I was amazed. I mean, as simple as involving a robotic process automation and RPA into their function. So the repetitive tasks that an accountant has to do day in, day out just get thrown out of the window, and the accountant and the finance professional is actually part in strategizing and business development, so to speak. So I'd say that the only hurdle to an artificial intelligence in the future is probably our own human mindset. As soon as we change that human mindset of ours and link ourselves to getting into these kind of technology processes, I think it's going to be the best for us. Lastly, I would just want to take on, because I was told that there has to be a recommendation as well. I just want to quickly pick up from what Anil Goelji was saying, that see, as smaller practitioners as smaller firms, we probably don't have access to those many resources. And we, of course, we know that the large firms have resources at their hand and technology is at their beckoning. But and as a recommendation, there is the Big Four. Why not think of creating something like a significant 40 or a significant 100 for that matter? Create a cohort at the behest of, or probably in consonance with, the Quality Council of India, and create a cohort which has a significant 40, so to speak. And then technology is shared, resources are shared, ideas are shared, and then truly we can probably take the profession to the global level. Yeah, with that I'll end. Thank you so much for having me here on this very august platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Siddharth. I really appreciate within the shortest time you have given us the better understanding of the issues with the startups. Now we have another young professional with us, Sweta Verma. I'll request her with a question related with the innovations, because she has worked with so many different companies. She is heading Nobility BPM Private Limited. How this financials and the accounting sector is still innovation is done, or it has a space available, though it is well said ki improvement is always been a space available, digital as well as the non-digital kind of things, where the space is available for to take this forward. Over to Sweta.
Thank you, Ansar. Hello, all respected dignitaries. Thank you for allowing me a platform to express my opinion on this topic. And Hansar, again, I would like to thank you for addressing me such a critical topics as innovation in financial services. Of course, what we are giving is the best, and we all should really be happy about it. But when talking about innovation, innovation can be understood in multiple ways, right? The first way to identify need, why innovation? Yes, innovation is required because business dynamics are changing, be it product oriented, be it process oriented, be it business oriented. So when this your business models are changing, accountancy is a reflective figure. So then your KPIs, what you were previously measuring, do not become relevant to really showcase the true potential or position of a company. So that's why it is very important that we keep redesigning new KPIs which are relevant to the business. Then moving ahead to the point, of moving ahead with the thought process of implementing these KPIs. I personally have experienced while working with in BPO sector, or while working with various MNCs across. We have observed that these KPIs are not monitored on day-to-day basis. This is initial journey that has been going on. Like if I have to take example, DSO is a very fantastic tool if you want to automate something, or if you want to improvise a process in together to get the end result. So if we want to showcase great results are not built in a day. We need to monitor the process. We need to keep a tab on financial KPIs to bring uh, the positions that we really are looking for. Now, the second question is that how technology can disrupt it, or how technology can be enabler. Certainly, technologies come with pros and cons of it. Technology, if I have to speak of AI has a great potential in terms of accountancy and finance. If I have to showcase how accountancy and finance can be done, definitely AI finds its application in models such as competitive financial analysis, benchmarking using self-organization mapping. Again, when we say this, AI can help you understand where you are falling short as per international standards, and what new standards are to be brought in, and what it can provide you the focus area to really work at and improvise yourself. So definitely, it is a big yes to apply AI in auditing services. Then, if I have to mention, expert judgment and audit export process is another thing that is really that comes to my mind. Audit processes must be re-engineered to provide flow mapping, which means all the waste must be eliminated out of the processes, just so that now what is value. Again, this could be a very good question and has been answered very appropriately in quality. We call something as a value for which customer is ready to pay. So what international customer wants to pay at the moment is increased participation of people towards understanding how important analytics is how important analytics is, business analytics, and how accountants or CFOs can play a strategic role in improvising or forecasting future problems. So thus our skill sets needs to be, or our accountants or professional needs to upgrade themselves from process based accounting system to, or learning based accounting system to application based system. This is one area that has been constantly being pointed out by MNCs, our international clients. And definitely then there is a scope for us to increase applicability, understand end-to-end business impact of financial processes, as all the processes have a financial impact and and their performance can be thoroughly measured through improvement or reduction in the financials. So you can definitely not only understand quantitative side of it, if qualitative sides of it can also be really measured using hypothetical testing, other factors being constant. Another thing that comes up to my mind is that market intelligence or research, apart from analytics, IT proficiency is being really requested upon by multiple MNCs. So inculcation of such kind of courses, be it quality, be it market intelligence, be it understanding, becoming competent with technology, is something very, very important. Now, most of the seniors have addressed on the topic that outsourcing. Yes, we are getting multiple, a good revenue from outsourcing world, but we really need to understand what are we outsourcing. We are outsourcing, transactional based services, which is practically bookkeeping, and graduates are performing this bookkeeping activities. Ideally, they are hired, not CAs or the CWA. So only 20 to 30% of the work that has been outsourced to India is high-end job. Thus, there is a huge potential. One risk or one problem that outsourcing world feels or faces is that why this high-end job is not outsourced is that the image that has been carried, resources of those who are processing at transactional level are not able to understand the business impact, and thus they are making a repetitive mistake, which is impacting clients' business adversely. Thus, client finds it's difficult to place a confidence to outsource a higher end job. So this is the model that is going at as of now. Instead of that, we have to do away with the elimination of mistakes must be done by usage of IT. Second thing, we should create a forum where or fintech platform where really financial value driven activities can be brought into the picture apart from outsourcing activity. So knowledge of all the honorable people like Sunil Talati sir and their institute can be taken into account, how it can improvise the services, how it can knowledge tree, if I have to say, should be created and then implemented into system, which should be integrated with companies like Infosys, TCS, who are big create these kind of platforms, and then invite all the SMEs across to create a platform and really providing cash flow management services or other services which can really deliver value to their business. This is what I would really like to suggest.
Yeah, thank you, Sweta. Such a really been bringing us how the innovation and the other things can be taken for the growth of this finance and the accounting services. To summarize, in the last, just a few points to share with each one of you. Our president, including past president, to achieve the $5 trillion, it is the aspects which shows us the accounting in the financial sectors has to supplement to achieve it, and the innovation and the technology has the bigger role to play. It is not only that one can do so, it's a collaborative approach. Across the globe has to be combined together. Every jurisdiction has a different needs, whether in the insolvency sectors we have looked at. It is not only the bookkeeping. Accounting is a vast area, merger and acquisition, financial services, other services, whether it is so many things are there into it, which we as a professional accountant or the professional related with the financial services has to strengthen ourselves. Upskilling has been made must. Barriers wherever we find with, whether it is from the regulators, whether it is from the government, that has to be done away with. Regulatory services has to be more opened up, and those who are unregulated services, more strength has to be built in. The technology has to play its role. Government to government sectors discussion has to start with. The reciprocity or the capacity or the advertisement. We talk about if we have a strength, we have to be given the liberty to speak to the others. We have that kind of strength. That is a broadcasting or the advertising. We brought more at the scalability. The abundance opportunities are available across the globe. Globe is full of opportunities. We have to, with our own capabilities and the competencies, take this opportunities in our hands so that we can bring out the $5 trillion US dollar for the economy of the country. As far as the availability of the employability has to be generated. So many things we can put into the as a professional accountant. Now, with these words, I am going back to the puja for
Mr. Chu, with your kind permission, just two clarification. First,
Yes, sir.
one to the point.
Sir, you are on a mute. You are on a mute. Unmute yourself, sir.
Yeah. With regard to the point raised by Mr. Anil Goyal, with regard to the forensic standard, the group and the committee has already approved the standards. It will now be put before the council, and hopefully before 31st March, the forensic accounting standards will be in the place by the institute. With regard to the point raised by, I think, Mr. David or Mr. Kashyap ji, with regard to SF 500 and other standard issued by Germany and European countries, let me all humbleness mention that yes, we at the institute are also fully seized of these latest accounting standards, but we are gradually introducing them because as compared to the strength of chartered accountants or CPA in those countries, we have too many, both auditees and more than 3 lakh chartered accountants. So we don't want to burden all chartered accountants overnight. So we are introducing them gradually, and all these revised standards also will take place by 2021 December. So I thought let me just share with this development for which institute and all council members are actively working.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I know this standards, whether forensic standards are on the way to the process with, it is reaching to the council, and the other things wherever the India wants to fit in into the global system, those are being duly taken care of. It is a good step for the ICI front also, from the government front also. Over to Pooja.
I thank our moderator and panelists for providing deep insights and recommendation for the sector. These recommendations will be compiled into a compendium and shared with the Line Ministry as well as DPIIT. As we have come to the end of the session, on behalf of DPIIT, QCI, NPC, and all our partners, a special thanks to Sri Manoj Pandeyji for sparing his valuable time and setting up the context, helping to shape up today's deliberation. A big thank you to Manisha Meena ma'am and Anuj Ojha sir from Department of Commerce for their great support and guidance. Thanks to all participants also for joining us in this webinar, and we hope that the deliberation have been enriching for them. We also thank DPIIT, the Department of Commerce, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, NIC team, our partners including NPC, PIS, PhD Chambers, SEPC, CII, FICCI, ASSOCHAM, and all other partners. I'm not taking all the names as it is a long list, but thanks to all for their support. Last but not least, I thank the QCI team for their hard work that made this happen. We are happy to announce that tomorrow we have yet interesting Manthan on communication services scheduled at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. To know more about this, you may visit our websites and social media handles. Thank you. Have a great weekend ahead. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you all and our compliments to all the organizers. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all the participants and all the speakers also.
Thank you, sir. We are closing.
Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.